Hi everybody, welcome to the stream. It's a little slight different intro tonight because it's just me on this screen. I thought we'd come and have a quick chat before we get going. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. As you know, I have a friend of mine, Anthony Ducre, coming in to show off his great map of Westeros from Game of Thrones. Now, I've been following Anthony through the build of this whole map for quite some time. It's been a work in progress for a long time, and he'll fill you in on all of that. And if you're not following Anthony on Instagram, go and check him out at DCS Bricks and Bits, and we'll get a link for that into the chat very shortly. So, without further ado, let me bring Anthony in and introduce him to you all. Anthony, welcome to the stream, my friend. Tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
And tell us how you first got into Lego, mate.
How did I first get into Lego? Well, first of all, welcome everybody. Hope you're all safe and sound, and lockdown wherever you are isn't treating you too poorly. How did I get into Lego? 1988, Christmas time, I guess. I was when my parents got me my first Blacktron set and a few of the medieval sets, and hooked until early teens. And then the inevitable Dark Age happened, and then about 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking for something new and went to a local show organised here by Wellug, and was hooked from there basically, and haven't looked.
Can you see the chat where you are at the moment, or no? There's a little bit
Yeah,
overlap.
I've got to turn my head slightly to see it.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's cool. You turn your
you want me to
head.
move that around?
No, I was just saying you've
Yeah.
been complimented on your great T-shirt already, um, which is a nice segue
Yeah, thank.
because I might have a classic space themed video heading up on YouTube tonight. So keep an eye on that.
Oh, excellent.
So anyway, we're
Yeah,
not here to
look out
talk
for that
about
one.
classic space, are we? We're here to talk about the great map of Westeros. Um,
Yes.
what was the motivation behind the map, man? What was the motivation to get into something so big?
Right. Well, before I get to that, what I'll do is I'll actually just pick up the camera and then change it around and show people what we're talking about. If that's
Absolutely,
all right.
absolutely. And just while Anthony's doing that and
So,
showing everyone around, thank you guys all so much for joining. Hello to everybody who's in the chat already: Sally, Michael, Grim, April, Cat, and anybody I've missed. I do apologise. Andy, I think I saw your name up there too, buddy. Anyway, Anthony, the stage is yours.
all right. So, I'll answer your question about motivation shortly because I thought I'd just go through what's going on with this whole build. Dan, you said it was massive. For those of you who deal with metric, it's 1.2 meters wide and it's 3.6 meters long. So this is actually bigger physically than the previous build of mine, which you might have seen, which was the Death Star
Yeah,
trench run.
that's pretty big.
Um, yeah, this takes roughly the same amount of time to set up and pull down, and it is as faithful a rendition the continent of Westeros from Game of Thrones as I could do. The reason I went for this is a couple of reasons, but as I pan to the map that I used as a bit of guidance. Yeah. Um, the reason for this build actually came at the end of the Death Star trench run's life, natural life, which is a common theme here. It was in this very garage that I actually showed my father, who at the time was battling pancreatic cancer. And I set up the Death Star just for him because I knew he would be able to get to a show. And it was during that time that we got to chatting, and as we always had, because we had a tradition where I'd call him every Sunday night, and we would just chat about things, politics, sport, and inevitably TV and Game of Thrones was always a popular topic for us. And so before he actually died, my dad and I sort of said, right, well, what am I going to do? And I said, I'm going to need something to keep busy. And so this is it. This is the end result of me working through that event in my life and just processing everything that was going on. giving me a bit of focus, and yeah, just keeping my mind busy as well, which was actually really useful, quite therapeutic. So there was that motivation, and the reason for the size, well, basically because I wanted to do bigger than the Death Star. So
And I guess
what's
there
yeah,
must have been some thoughts that had gone into the size scale versus the size of the buildings that you've got, because if you come in close on some of those buildings, just like the intro to the TV show, you've got them all motorized, and as I
that's right.
understand it, they're all controlled by Mindstorm. So tell us how you worked through
Yep, that's
that challenge.
okay. So I knew that I always wanted to do more movement because the Death Star had a lot of movement. So I wanted to push my boundaries a little bit further. And it just so happens that I stood next to Jake Roos at the Wellington show and watching his Mindstorm stuff, and at BritCon as well. So that was a big motivator for me. It was like, right, well, how can I get into that? Because that's some pretty cool stuff going on there. And just pushing the boundary on that. And also, I don't know if you realize, but the public interactivity on that Death Star was just so draining, really rewarding. And I enjoyed having people put their own phones through and have their own memento. That was pretty cool. But in the end, I wanted something that I could basically press play and then walk away.
Oh, nice
Yeah,
little
you like that?
Easter egg there. Nice little Easter egg.
You like that?
You're a
You like
champion.
that?
You're a champion. Well
Yeah.
done.
So there was that, and then eventually, what happened was I started by taking a image of the Westeros map, that one there, online, and started mucking around using 48 by 48 base plates as the template. And it just happened to fit quite nicely and neatly. As you can see, the very bottom of the south fits in nice and neatly, and the top of the top of the north also also fits in quite well. So that was sort of serendipitous. And then from there, it was try and figure out where the settlements would be. I'm probably going to get a bit of grief for a lack of scale, which was actually a common point in the Death Star build, so to speak. Oh, the Star Destroyer is not in scale with the X-Wing, and then the Super Laser Dish, and it's like, well, okay, whatever.
That's
Move
cool.
on. So
That's called poetic
no,
license.
of course. Right.
I don't know why people get so hung up
So
on such things.
well, hopefully when people look at it, they sort of understand what's going on, and figuring it out. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, but you're not going to please everybody, and there's going to be some hardcore Game of Thrones fans out there. They're going to be saying to me things like, "Oh, how come you didn't put White Harbor in? How come you didn't put Flint's Finger in? How come you didn't put, blah blah blah?" And the 99% of us are just going to say, "What? What are you on about?"
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it is.
Um,
Yeah.
can you pop
Now,
your
so
camera on your tripod for a minute and just take a little bit
yeah.
to talk us through this front corner here, where the base plate
Okay.
has been left off, and just explain how you've put this together.
Okay. So what we've got in the corner here, deliberately, here's one I prepared earlier. I've left a corner section off just to sort of expose the inside and show people how it's all come together, because this might surprise you. It's not actually solid underneath. It's 120,000 plus pieces as it is. Oh, I must have turned that off, sorry. 120,000 pieces as it is. If it was completely solid, then we're looking at easily millions. It's
Not
just
not to
ridiculous.
mention
You can't do
weight.
it.
There'd be
Oh,
some
absolutely.
massive weight in that. That would be completely unnecessary.
Yeah. So the majority of it's hollow, and it's held up on these pillars here. And the pillars are 14 2x4 bricks stacked up in a 4x4 formation.
Yeah.
Then I've got one level of plating, and then I've got these 1x4 with studs to sort of clip things on in a modular fashion. So wherever there's a border of a 48 by 48 plate, you can see that I've got these pillars set up in a ring formation.
Mm.
And that goes all the way through the map, and that just holds everything up nice and neat.
Mm-hmm. And how many sections are there in total?
3 wide by 8 long,
Wow.
so 24.
Wow. If anybody in chat has got any questions for Anthony while we're going through, do feel free to throw your questions out there, and I'll relay those to Anthony, because at the moment he can't see the chat, but I'm happy to relay those messages, those questions for you. So how? Okay, so you can still hear me because you've got your headset on, right? Right. How easy is this to transport? Does it each of those sections transport in one piece, or do you take the surface layer off and then put all of the pillars in? What's your process?
That's basically it. You take to pack this down off all the surface layer, and they stack ish with bubble wrap into the standard system in 90-litre containers quite well. And there's 2.5 of those. You can sort of see now I'm sort of pointing at what it just folds up into, which is that's all it is. Mm-hmm. The pillars themselves, they're nice and uniform, so they stack quite neatly. And then these foundation parts here are quite narrow and actually uniform when you look at them sort of from there. So they end up stacking neatly too. So there's not a lot of wasted space in transport, which is quite good.
Nice.
But those boxes do get quite heavy.
Yeah, I bet they do.
It's a lot of plating. Yeah,
I bet they do. We've got a question. Can we please see the sides? So can we get a slow pan up close of the sides, please?
So that's the ones with the minifigures on them?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So
tell us the story with those.
Right. Okay. So down here, we'll just start the slow pan. This is up at the north. You can see that I've got monochrome, light bluish grey minifigures there. And those were to emulate what was going on in the crypts of Winterfell. So if you know the show, the crypts of Winterfell is a pretty big deal. And certain characters got statues in there. And so there's another little Easter egg for you. Each of these represents a character from the show. So that's obviously Daenerys, and she is holding a coffee cup there. So another sort of nod to the last season.
Is it because there was a coffee cup in one of the scenes next to somebody's foot? Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the table, left there accidentally, so they say. And then HBO apparently went back and digitally edited that part out from all future versions. So even if you stream it on Neon or something like that, you can't see it anymore, which is hilarious. So you've got Grey Worm there. Khal Drogo with his distinctive sort of sword, and another one of his blood riders there. These gaps in here are actually waiting for some very, very specially printed parts coming from Rick's Bricks. Mm-hmm. So when he gets me those after the lockdown, they'll slot into there. So house banners and what have you. So moving through,
I have those queued up actually, if you wanted to have a look at them. But we can check look at them after you've done the side. Yeah.
So that one is Ser Jorah, who is actually my favourite character from the show. Ian Glenn did a great job. That one there is Tyrion. So he's got slightly shorter legs, as you can see, and a crossbow. So no spoilers, but yeah, if you know the show. This is one of the dragons. As you can see, it's also moving. That one is Rhaegal, the dragon that you least see and talk about in the show. I'm just going to pause for a second here while I fix up my tripod, if you don't mind. There we go. So I've tried to group the minifigures, here we go, in certain sort of themes. So with Tyrion Lannister there, we've got Jaime Lannister and Cersei. note, no hair, so season 5, 6 onwards. That's the Mountain. So the big, guy doesn't talk much and breaks heads open.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother, the Hound, who is my second favorite character from the show. There's a slight gap here. We'll get to that shortly. So now running through, we've got Beric Dondarrion, who is a minor character mostly, but he had a big part to play in season 8, episode 3.
With his flaming sword.
Gendry, that's the one. We've got Gendry there with his hammer, the blacksmith boy. I think that's my wife's favorite character. Can't remember. That's supposed to be Brienne of Tarth, slightly taller there. That one's obvious. Should be able to figure out who that is. Again, that one's a bit subtle, but seeing as we're pretty close to Pike and pretty close to Bran, that's Theon Greyjoy. And that's Robb Stark. Also close to the twins up there. So, another little subtle nod. Next to him is Drogon, the main dragon. And so he's just doing his thing there. That one should be fairly obvious. Special dagger and a foil, so that's Arya Stark. Still talking about Starks. Can you get this one?
Sansa.
That's right. That one there. That one's should be pretty obvious. No?
It's got to be. What's his name?
What's his name? Here's a clue. He dies in everything he stars in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was obviously Ned Stark. Jon Snow with his armor there. And then Ygritte, his love interest, or one of his love interests. Spoiler alert. And Tormund Giantsbane, the red-headed, bearded wildling dude.
Nice.
So, yeah. Still on the figures. At the ends here, we've got just some unsullied guys with their swords and spears, and that's an alcove specially reserved for when I get the printed parts up, and I'll put a little figure in there representing my late father. So there's a little spot there just for him.
Nice. Well done.
So hopefully that answered the question about can we see the sides?
Yep, sure did.
Cool.
Okay, do you want to take a quick look at the printed parts that Rick provided?
Yep, send them through.
Okay, so if you won't be able to see them on your screen, so if you pop over to the stream, you'll see them there.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so can you see the screen? So we've got the first image there, excuse me, of obviously all of the settlements, place names.
Yeah, and they're done in a Game of Thrones-ish font, so the plan was to put those on to the settlements and have them sort of appropriately placed, just like in the opening sequence. So when you pan over them or look at them, you can sort of make out, where's where and what's what. So, so some different colors to match the terrain around mostly. So quite happy with those. They look pretty sharp.
We have some banners.
Yep, so those are house banners. Yep, so the top ones there are House Bolton, and then below that is House Stark. So they'll just go in the appropriate place in the crypts, and also on top next to their main settlements, so the Dreadfort and Winterfell, respectively.
Nice.
So you got the twins up top, which is House Frey, so that's another important place in the whole thing. And again, the Winterfell, House Stark deals. Up top, you've got Castle Black or the Night's Watch. Now, strictly speaking, this is where some pedant's going to come out and say, they didn't actually have a house crest, blah, 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 but whatever. And just go back one. Sorry, Dan.
Back one.
Just go. Yep, back one, if you can.
Back one more.
At the moment, I've got the Baratheons and the Lannisters, so yep, there it is. And on the bottom there is House. No, forward.
The delay is real.
Oh, the lag is real, is it? Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, forward one more, please. Awesome. So Night's Watch up top, and down below you've got House Mormont. So Lady Lyanna Mormont and Gior and Jorah. That's House Baratheon. So that's Stannis and his mates, and Jaime Lannister and his family on that one with the red and the lion, which is pretty. Yeah, next one, mate. Yeah, next one.
So we've got dragons at the top and the fish on the bottom.
Yep. So House Targaryen, you saw that one quite prominently. So that's going to be put on Dragonstone, and then under that is House Tully, which is Catelyn Stark's family. So the Stark's sort of maternal side, and that's out at Riverrun.
Nice.
You might remember Edmure Tully or not. Yep.
And now we
what
have the bird and what looks like a squid.
So House Arryn up top with the Eyrie and the Knights of the Vale, and then at the bottom of the squid is House Greyjoy. So yeah, around Pike.
Nice. And
you might remember Euron. Euron was a class act. Man of my own heart.
No, you're right, April. I don't know my house sigils. I have watched Game of Thrones, but I've watched it.
Well, how about April tells us who these?
Yeah, April.
See if she knows.
Who are these two, April? we can give you 5 seconds, April. Who are these two?
Yeah. or anybody.
Yeah, anybody. Who are these guys? Because I don't know. One's an archer and one's a... What's the other one? Looks like a virus getting speared.
Ha! We all wish.
Yeah, I know, right? Martell.
On the bottom, yes. House Martell.
How many times?
Oh, Mikey. Mikey Wilson's in chat.
Mike Wilson's
Mikey.
How many times have you watched Game of Thrones, Ant?
A lot. Maybe 3 times the entire series, 3.5 times.
Nice. So who's this one on the top here with the bow and arrow?
That is House Tarly. So Samwell Tarly's.
Yeah, April just put it up in time.
Oh, okay.
I'll
just
have it
in time. Well done. Yeah. So, you don't really see that one. And Randall Tarly, let's be fair, was a bit of a harsh taskmaster, but I felt it appropriate because it turns out there's a Sam in every fantasy series that carries the hero through, as April damn well knows.
Apparently so. Yeah.
Here we've got House Tyrell. Yeah, here we've got House Tyrell up top from Highgarden. So that's Marjorie and Loras and Lady Olenna. And at the bottom, again, come on, let's see if April or anyone can get that one. It was mentioned once in the show and never seen.
It's got me beat.
Come on, April. Tick, tick, tick. Yeah.
Got me beat. Nope.
April says nope. Brienne of Tarth's family sigil.
Oh. And there's the entire collection there.
Yep. So I might be able to put some of the other minor houses like Glover and Umber and what have you in Karstark, but there's no real point. If people aren't really sort of if 99% of people aren't going to get it, then there's no real point spending the time and effort.
Pretty good job on the printing there, eh?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing those in person. Yeah, they're going to look fantastic.
So it's a little bit unfortunate, but as I understand it, the printed tiles and stuff have been stuck down at Rick's because of the coronavirus lockdown.
Yep.
and the
Yep,
inability
and
to ship at the moment. But so you'll be looking forward to getting those and getting it finished up.
yeah, definitely. Just looking forward to basically being able to get any parts. To be fair,
Yeah, fair enough. Speak of the devil,
yeah.
Rick's just popped into the chat. Did you have a? Did you manage to
Oh,
see
nice.
your work there, Mr. Ricardo? Just been showing off your prints. Anthony is Viserion there.
Ah, no, not on the main build as such, but I did actually build one. So I'll just scoot over here and show you this one.
Oh, it was
So not
Viserion,
motorized yet.
the other
Yeah, the steering was the
dragon that got sucked up by the Night King.
pretty much. You can put it that way. So here's a good look at in there.
Did the undead version, yes.
And this was quite, yeah. So it's quite a nice little build there with the Night King on the back there and a bit of, I guess it's ice flame, if that even makes any sense coming out.
Yeah, makes
We've
sense.
got ball joints in here, so posable wings as he falls, and what have you. So we can sort of get some pretty mean poses on there. It's quite neat. And just to round it out, you might have seen this one.
Nice.
That one there, the Iron Throne. So basically what it was all about in the end.
Sally's asking, will he go on the map or just be separate?
I think just separate. There didn't really seem to be a place to put him to sort of do that build any justice. And I could probably perch him up in the north where it's a bit sparse, but again, sort of doesn't make sense. The problem was there were 3 dragons, and you can't really sort of do 3 corners with the dragon and then have a corner without. So that was what I had originally planned. And same with the sides and stuff like that. So I just sort of did the best I could, went with 2, split the difference, and then built a proper one.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So with carry on. Nope, carry on.
There you go.
I was going to say with
So I was going to
the lag is real. I was just going to say with the 4 Mindstorms units there,
yes.
what was the challenge with getting them all to work and do what you needed them to do?
The main challenge is batteries. It runs typically on 6 1.5 volt batteries, so AA's. But as you can see, they're fairly well embedded into the build. So it's a real pain to stop and change them every sort of 25, 30, whatever minutes there are in the show. So to counter that, I got them running off mains power.
Right.
So the 4 units there all running off mains. That was the number one challenge I wanted to overcome. And the second challenge was actually where to put the settlements and where to put the units. Now, this one down here, Sunspear in the south, and Old Town also in the south, so far away from their control unit, which is over in a central position in here, that I needed custom cabling. So Andrew Dean, I think it was,
from
in Christchurch,
yeah,
got me some custom cabling.
Yeah.
And once the lockdown's lifted, I am going to send him something pretty special to say thank you.
Nice.
So I've got that under control. And then from there, the third challenge, believe it or not, was actually getting everything to work, to be motorized. So I wanted every single settlement to have something different in their movement. So King's Landing here just bobbing up and down as per show. The Eyrie spinning as per show, but slightly differently. Over here, sort of Dreadfort collapsing and rebuilding as per, and then over here, Castle Black, you can see the elevator and the little roofs and stuff bobbing up and down. So that's one I'm particularly happy with. Yeah, the challenge was how to sort of represent the settlements and get a little bit of movement in one.
So did you have to build the settlements? Did you just build those models on their own and then put the terrain around them? Did you sort of have to work out the functionality before you could do the terrain? How did you do? What was the process there?
Yeah, pretty much what you said. Work out functionality and then get the terrain around it. So I'm looking now at Sunspear in the south, and you can see where the motor's attached. Each settlement has only got one motor, and so to get 3 different forms of movement in that was quite tricky.
Right.
But once you sort of get the hang of it, you can actually have a bit of fun. So it would take me about a week to get everything sorted in a settlement the way I wanted from scratch. And so there's a lot of trial and error, and just sort of working with within the parts you've got and the colors you need and what have you. So yeah. If I can just sort of get in, I'll just pull that one out. So a lot of them have, you can sort of see a sort of a camshaft there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty basic one to do. And then in there, you're obviously running a gearbox. So it's the motor's spinning, and then at 90 degrees, you've got that snake spinning, but you've still got your cams running. So I mean, I could do videos on all of them, but yeah, once you get one, you sort of get the others.
Yeah, nice. And have you ever sort of worked with the Technic stuff and Mindstorms, cams, all of that sort of stuff in the past, or is this sort of something that you had to learn on the fly and troubleshoot as you went along?
Definitely learn on the fly and troubleshoot. This is my first sort of experience with Mindstorms off plan, so to speak.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
But then once you get it and you sort of get a feel for it, then you can actually do them quite quickly. So the first few took the longest, obviously, and the last ones were the easiest. Here's one that's quite subtle. You can sort of see Dragonstone there. This one here, just spinning and slowly rotating up. That was the hardest one to do.
Right.
Believe it or not. Because
was it the upward motion that was difficult?
Yeah, and so I solved that with some worm gears and the gear rack plates, and built them in close together, a bit like a lipstick container or something similar, and then sort of powered it from there.
Nice.
Yeah. Right, so I'll just want to put the corner on, and then show sort of what's going on there and complete the map, and then take some more questions if there are any.
Okay, so if you're out there in the chat and you've got any questions, now's the time. Fire them out there. And we'll get Anthony to answer those questions, and then we'll probably be wrapping up shortly after.
Right, so I'm just going to move that up there. Cool. So this is one of the foundation units, so to speak, and you can see just how thin each of these are, and obviously classic technique of using different colors at the back as ballast, so to speak, and then nice catch.
Good catch.
Yeah, no. And then sort of went with the grey on grey action there. So when I go to shows and rebuild this, it will all slot into place. It's looking quite good. And then this is the terrain plating. And the terrain plating is about, let's see, at the sea level, so to speak, with the tiles and things here, we've got 3 plates thick with an extra plate there for a bit of strength, structural integrity underneath.
Oh, that must have been parts intensive.
Obviously, oh yeah, definitely. Here you go. Here's with the layers of terrain on top. And the inspiration for those layers of terrain came from one of my colleagues at school who teaches geography. Just having a chat to him one day, and he was sort of just throwing ideas around, and he goes, "Oh, a bit like a contour map." And then from there, it was like, yeah, like a contour map.
Yeah, perfect idea.
So, perfect idea.
So how many hours does it take to set it up, do you think?
About 2.5. I actually think it's not going to behave today. Oh, now we got it. There we go. And so just pressing down on all the points where those 1x4 plates with studs were. And then to get rid of all the seams, and you just sort of blend it in with some parts. And away we go. And repeat 24 times. And then we're good. And one of the fiddliest parts is putting these trees on. Don't know if you've seen those.
How many trees are there?
Over 1,000. And they're made up of a 1x1 reddish brown dark sort of plate, and then a 1x1 dark green or olive green in some cases plate on top. And some of them have got 2 brown plates, some of them got 1, some of them got 3, just to give it a bit of texture on there.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's another forested area. One up there, and I'll scoot around the side to show you the other ones. Other little places before I do. Hardhome up north, and then obviously the map needs a compass, so that's from the Ideas Ship in a Bottle set, and special place reserved for a special tile coming from Rick.
Nice. So there's a couple of questions.
Sure.
How much did much of the Star Wars build bricks go into it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a vast majority.
A lot of the grey.
A lot of the grey. And a lot of that is substructure as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's a big grey patch here. So I'd say about 2/3 of the Death Star went back into Westeros, which was quite good.
Yeah. How many hours has it taken from conceptualizing it to being made in the brick? What would be your guesstimate of time put into it?
Well, since the 1st of October last year till 17th of March this year, every day I was building about 2 to 3 hours once the kids were asleep and schoolwork and stuff were all done,
Nice.
which is a lot. You can work that out. And I'm a maths teacher, but yeah, you guys can work it out. But the planning and conceptualizing itself took a lot more than that. And if you'll permit me, I'm just going to show you my planning actually that I did on paper.
Sure. Paul, I'm not sure what your question means. Are the pillars indeed so know their place? Can you just elaborate on that one, bud?
Say again.
No, I was just talking to one of the guys in chat. I don't understand the question.
Right. So what I've got here is effectively a 48 by 48 grid on paper, and I printed off the map and sort of fiddled around with that and made sure that I could do it down to the stud
Level,
so I could see where everything was going to go with rivers, and so you can see the rivers that are running through there, and a place to sort of put stun spear, which got moved around a bit, and you can see where I've gone with wedge plates and straight plates, which was really important because of course Lego doesn't really like curves at that scale. So wedge plates were key, and then you can sort of see loosely how that translated to there. So that process took a long time as well. And of course, the coloring was really important because I had to know what was land and what was sea, of course. And then what I did after I drew this was I went into Studio, the design program, and then replicated that piece of paper in Studio.
Oh, wow.
And it spat out the parts list for me, which was surprising. A shock.
Wow. That's pretty intense, man. That's a lot of
Well, when it
planning and
says you
effort.
need, 10,000 plus 1x2 trans clear tiles, you sort of trans light blue tiles, you sort of start to question if it's really going to be right. So that's the southern coast, so to speak, and you can sort of see how it sort of played out from paper to the build.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
really,
and I
really
was
cool,
working
man.
on this well before the Death Star was done. I was working on this probably from January last year, because I distinctly remember colouring in this section while I was on the ferry to Christchurch for the July show.
Yeah, I remember you
So
telling me about this model quite early on in the piece, but you swore me to secrecy for quite some time.
Yeah, just one of those things, I guess. You know how we all are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I kept your secret too. So Paul's question is, the pillars underneath, do they have marks for location? Do you know where they go, or does
Yes,
it
they do.
matter? Yeah.
Yes, they do. That was really important. Otherwise, there's a whole lot of heartache, because some of the plates aren't exactly, as you can see here. If I press hard enough, they will collapse. So some of them, you need to put them in just the right place. It doesn't matter which pillar goes where. All it matters is that the pillar goes in the right place.
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah, which just helps when it comes to setup.
Yeah, because I guess underneath there you could see on some of those, on that plate that you put in before, there was some spots where there might have been a little bit of bracing. You don't want it to be one plate height out, because that would just throw everything.
No, another hard lesson learned from the Death Star.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think your build is absolutely incredible, mate. Congratulations.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Absolutely stunning. I'm really looking forward to the whole lockdown thing being over and done with, and getting the opportunity to see this in the brick at a Lego show sometime soon, hopefully.
Well, that's the goal. I mean, as it is, it's taking up far too much room in my garage. So I didn't just build it for the fun of it. I wanted to sort of, like I said, with regards to my dad and stuff, and take it on tour, and uh, just sort of show the community that we do help each other and we do good things for each other when we need to. So
Mm.
um, yeah. I mean, on that note, Well Lug were great. They've loaned me a Mindstorms kit and a whole lot of 2x4 bricks to get this done. So
Nice.
shout out to Glenn at the Palmy branch, and I guess Jay at oh, in the Wellington branch. So
Nice.
it's really nice of them to lend me their resources.
Well, that's what the lug was set up for in the first place.
Mm.
It's all good. That's what they've got that gear for, is to be able to loan it out to club members. So it's good to see that it's getting used. It's good to see that it's helping members to achieve their goals and their dreams and aspirations. So, but at the end of the day, mate, you put in the hard yards. You've created something there absolutely epic, and it deserves to be seen by the world.
Yeah, I put a video up online earlier today of the whole build, and one of the comments from one of the first comments from some random stranger was, "Hey, that's awesome! Now rebuild season 7 and season 8 of the show." I just think that's probably a bit harsh.
I don't understand what that actually means. What does that mean? Rebuild 7 and 8? Is that because the map changed?
No, because I think that season 7 and 8 were poor quality,
Oh, okay, right. So they just weren't
which
happy with the
I don't.
show itself.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy enough with the show. I mean, I knew it had to end somewhere, and the writers did what they could, but ultimately, some people think they felt it came up short, and whatever. Still a good show for 8.5 seasons. So
Yeah, look, and at
what
the
can
end
you
of the
do?
day, you weren't building the show; you were building the map, and you've achieved that.
That's
And
right.
it looks bloody
That's right.
fantastic.
Mm.
So just some comments from the chat.
Uh,
This is ridiculously amazing,
mm.
Anthony. It's gorgeous. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us. Here's another question, real quick. How far will you travel with it?
All right. Um, Auckland is viable. Christchurch is viable. Dunedin possibly. It comes down to the scheduling once the lockdown's done,
Mm-hmm.
really,
Mm-hmm.
and how that fits in with school and other activities. Basically anything in August is out for me, but school holidays, long weekends, maybe. Yeah,
Mm.
we'll see. Yeah, certainly not international. I don't think I could handle that.
Might be a little bit big, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit big, quite
Little
heavy
bit
on the old
big. Yeah, on
luggage.
the old excess
Yeah,
baggage, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's the one.
But yeah, I guess, look, at the end of the day, if it doesn't get out so much in 2020, then 2021 is certainly going to be a good year for Lego shows, I'm sure. So,
Oh yeah, and other builders are going to have some ridiculous builds as well. So hopefully, I'm just one of many that gets to sort of put their work out there
absolutely.
in that way.
Absolutely.
Um, I'm surprised there haven't been very many questions regarding the water features here, the technique in the water. But I guess it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? That
It's
was
probably a little hard to see, if I'm being honest, but talk us through
oh,
it.
okay. So this is obviously, as I mentioned before, we've got over 10,000 1x2 Translight Blue tiles. Not cheap, just want to say. But they're done in a sort of alternating fashion. I wonder, can you
Oh,
see
you
that?
can, yeah.
Yeah. So um, so obviously two up, two across, two up, two across, and that repeats the entire way for the whole map.
Wow.
A couple of little bits where it doesn't quite work in and around these bits, but for the majority of it, it does that. And so that was quite interesting as well, just to sort of be mindful of all the little water bits and things like that there. So
Nice.
just another one of those little challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one last question from me. What was
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh, from you?
highlight
Yep.
of the entire process for you? What was the standout moment, the epiphany moment, I've got this moment? What was that?
Whoa. I think when I finished the wall over here, Castle Black, and the wall, that was the third one I did. And I did those before I did the plates. So I had three settlements, which was Winterfell, King's Landing, and the wall, all done. And it was at that point that I was like, okay, I can get these to work in terms of motorization. I can get the scale I want. Let's just push on and go for it. But that was after all the paper planning, the studio designing, the parts list creating, etc. And it was at that point where I committed and said, yeah, let's go for this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Looks awesome. It is amazing. I hate to say it, but I don't think the video does it justice. I think if you get the opportunity to come to a Lego show and see this in the brick, you need to come and see this in the brick, because I think it would be suitably way more impressive in the brick itself. But thank you so much, Anthony, for taking the time to show us your model and talk to us about it. It's really nice to get the insight into how these big models come about and the processes that people go through to create them and stuff, because it's no easy feat. You don't just sit down and come up with this sort of thing overnight. Not only is it a time investment, there's a financial investment, there's a mental investment, there's all sorts of things. And mate, you need to be commended for your work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the mental side of things is something that people underestimate as well. Just having that focus to have a goal and see it through. I'm really grateful that my wife is quite tolerant of this. She understands that if I don't have a project or something like that on the go, I tend to get a bit scratchy. So, the support personnel in terms of wives and husbands and children and lugs and stuff is key to getting big projects like this off the ground.
Absolutely.
And so those people sort of need to be have a shout out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of course, there were times when I sort of woke up first thing in the morning and said, "Oh, I thought about this," and my wife, who, bless her, just put up with it and went, "Oh yeah, okay, cool." But she knew that I was just sort of sounding out an idea rather than anything else. So,
for sure.
yeah, and of course the people at school and sort of during interval and lunchtime, and I sort of show them pictures whether they wanted me to or not. Again, smile and nod. Thanks to all of them.
Yeah, you should have been the detention teacher and then made them do all the maths for you.
No, because I want to be right, so I'll just do it myself. Thanks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, mate. Do you have any final comments or anything before we wrap it up?
No, not really. Just thanks for your time. It's not an ideal way to show it when you want to see it in person, but circumstances is sort of need something to do. So thanks for giving me something to focus on and work through during the whole lockdown COVID-19 thing.
No problem.
And again, thanks to everyone that's had a part in this, big or small. It is really appreciated, and I hope that everyone gets to see it in person at some stage in the next sort of 12 to 18 months.
Absolutely. Well, when we do see it in the brick, so to speak, I would love to do another interview with a nice camera setup and nice, good quality interview and a good quality video for you to have for your record.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. It'd be good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You have my word on that one. All right, my friend. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for joining us. Thank you so much for showing us the model again. Well done. Look forward to seeing it. And
No worries, guys.
we'll catch up with you again soon.
And hope you enjoyed this. I'll catch you next time.
Cool. Thanks, Anthony. Bye now. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I do apologise for the sort of the nature of the video and any sound quality. Anything's is what it is. We did the best job we could. Really appreciate Anthony's time for setting their model up again for us to look at and taking time to talk to us. It's really interesting, just the process that goes into making a model that big is all consuming. And you know, the thing that I think I'd need to say as a mock builder myself is that you do this for yourself, but you always have your viewers in mind. And at the end of the day, these guys that put together these big models for Lego shows do it really for the community to enjoy. So, you know, whenever you go to a Lego show, thank the creators, thank the guys that put the show on, you know, thank the exhibitors for being there and for doing that for everybody. So it's really important.